Hey, this is Installations with Steve, and I'm Steve. Today we're going to be looking at this panel fridge door that is loose. It's driving me crazy. Every time we open and close the fridge, I can feel that it's loose. The alignment's off. It's also been hitting the side of this cabinet, damaging it. Beautiful wife hired a appliance installer to put this in, and he did a subpar job. We're going to take it off, reinstall it correctly. First, we need to figure out what's wrong, why it's loose, and how to take this thing off. Here you can see where the cabinet's been damaged. Upon first inspection, I can tell that there is a cover plate here. And if I go on the underside of the fridge, I can see that there's an L bracket there. It looks like there's supposed to be a second one here, but it is not there. Also, this screw is completely loose, and I think the hinge joint is screwed in with a screw into the wood panel as well. And then along the top, it looks like there's a cover plate here, which I can remove. And then it looks like there's two L brackets with bolts holding it on here, and then there's another screw from the fridge hinge holding the front panel on through there. So we're gonna loosen all of these bolts and L brackets and see how to remove this fridge panel. Looks like I can just remove this cover. It's like a piece of plastic that is just wedged in. And I can see the gap here. And then there are two nuts that I loosened. This bolt that's sticking up is part of the fridge frame. And then this L bracket that's wrapping around is connected to the panel door, so it's kind of hanging on there. There's one more screw to remove from the hinge. And then I believe the door panel will be loose, so I can just sort of lift it off. To lift the panel off, but I can't. Oh, that was something. I think it's up. Completely loose. It's up and over. Up and over. Unless those brackets are... Okay. So there's a metal strip here I think you need to remove. Yeah, that did it. We don't have to worry about the door falling because it is hanging, essentially. Well, that did it. These brackets are what the door slides into. So this is the back of the door. There's just like a little bracket here that then slides onto the front of the metal door. This is the bracket that was on the actual door of the fridge. It screws on looks like this, and it screws on to the side like this. And then the front of the door will slide into it. That's how it kind of seats into the front of the fridge door. And what I need to do is make some adjustments and make sure this fits on snugly, and add an L bracket underneath the fridge door, which I think was the problem altogether. It was just missing a piece of hardware altogether, which caused everything to be loose, which then made these brackets kind of bend under the force of opening and closing the door constantly. This is what it hangs on. So these are the L brackets that hang on top of these bolts that are sticking up out of the fridge frame. And I'm gonna reinstall this now that I've made my adjustments, tweaked it a little bit. First thing I'm gonna do is I need to flip this around, hang it on top of these two bolts that are sticking out on the top, while simultaneously sliding this piece of hardware this direction into these brackets. We're gonna leave this brackets remains on, and then once we have it slid in and hanging, we're gonna slide the second bracket in and tighten everything up. Hopefully it'll work. They recommend 2 men do this. I think it'll be easier with the door open. Okay, I've got it hooked on the top. Now I don't have to worry about it falling. What I need to do is slide it over into the existing brackets. I'm now thinking I cannot do. Yeah, I'm gonna have to remove this from the door. I thought I was gonna be able to. But I've removed it. And now what I can do is reinstall it. So I'm gonna slide it back in so it goes into the receiving end of the hardware that's on the back of the door. And then I'll re-tighten everything. Okay, we got that. We have the back bracket on now. Now I'm going to slide this bracket back into the receiving end of the hardware that's attached to the back of the door. So if you can see this, you slide it in. But what you do is you slide it in, get it aligned. Now that it's attached like that, you squeeze as tightly as you can the gap, because there's some give, and then you're gonna screw the screws in. And in this particular instance, a drill, I would highly recommend. Just makes things a lot easier. Start with the bottom one. The beeping is my fridge warning me. Get my first screw in. That should hold it where we want it. Now I'll do one on the bottom. This is kind of my problem area, and really you can see there's still give happening. So I'm going to add an L bracket on the underside, which is the intended design, just was not executed properly by our installer. I think now would be the time. So this is just, it's a compression fitting. So you just snap it in, this cover plate. This is what damaged everything, because it came loose. Every time the kids would slam the fridge door, this would come loose and damage our cabinetry. This is the real problem area. You had an L bracket in the back portion of the fridge. It's not really necessary because the hinge is screwed in to the door frame. So what I'm gonna do is put the L bracket over here, and there is a machine screw hole to put a bolt in up there. This screw is also very loose, and I don't think it got loose over time. I think he just didn't screw it in. I've got the panel nice and tight. I have the cover plates back on. The next thing to do would be to put the nut and bolts back on top. Let's test the door here. So all the lines are Nice and perfect now. Let's see how the door works. Closes perfectly. The most important part is it's not loose anymore. We removed the entire panel just to see what we're dealing with, but really the main problem was there was missing hardware, even though this was professionally installed by the appliance people. They were probably just having a bad day. In any event, we learned how to remove a fridge panel and put it back on and see how that works, because I think this is a pretty common problem. This is a Bosch 36-inch fridge, in case you're wondering. And that's it for today. We'll see you next time.